I had a meeting with the guys who just left this morning. They had the first breakfast, yeah, and they are on the probation. There are different conditions, but the stories are horrific. What they went through, physical state, mental state. Some of them on the crutches, as you could see, yeah. So physically, they are devastated, and that was. I mean, I think someone should do documentary documenting their stories and testimonies as soon as possible, because for us they are, J6ers, right? That's it, J6ers. But when you hear the personal story, what they went through all these years, all this time, I would call it torture. When, as a lawyer, from what I heard, they went through torture, which is against international law. Those responsible should pay consequences for what they have done.
What's some of the horrible, like what was like the most horrible?
I don't want to say that, but it was physically really bad. Really bad.
Outside of the more extreme stories, there are simple ones like people being put in extended solitary confinement and not given proper meals or exercise.
And that's by the international law, that's the part of the torture. Because everyone thinks that torture is when you lose your nails, thief, or whatever. No, when you are not getting food, water, when you are not taking care as the one who should, the way you should be by the law, that's the part of the torture. So you don't have to be in Guantanamo to go through torture. It's completely different by the international law. It's very serious.
I have a breaking news. U.S. trades Taliban prisoner for American detainees Ryan Corbett and William Wallace McKenty.
So Trump's just getting a lot done real fast, huh?
Yeah. You ask me what I think what it's going to happen, and I said he has to provide. He already he says day one, and he meant it. Like 200 orders, executive orders, day one. What he did now on day one is much more than Democrats did. Oh, sorry, it's not more. Wrong. Let me say again. They did so much damage, and he in one day made so much good that there's three things: gender equality, which means two genders, then pardoning people who went through torture, who only wanted to experience their own freedom. Now, illegal migrants, like starting with deportation. Thank God, that's the third thing. And what was the most important thing during this debate? What we had to discuss through all these months and years, I would say. Illegal migrants, J6ers, and energy, right? Yeah. What he did, one of the first executive orders was get rid of this Paris Agreement. Bravo, Mr. President. I'd love to do the same. If I would be president, I would do it the same day one.
I like the way that he was doing it too, because there's a video, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It was transparent. He sat down at his desk with a bunch of reporters, signing executive order, talking to the reporters as he's like chilling out. Like we missed this for 4 years. We didn't have a president that talked to people.
And then he asked them, how many press conferences Biden did like this? And they went 0. I love 0.
Rep Massey, I mean, you're more libertarian. How do you feel about these executive orders?
Well, I was in the rotunda. They had to move the inauguration inside. So I was in there and had a fairly good seat. And when you're sitting there, you have to decide where you're going to stand up and clap for. And I'm not one of these people that looks and sees as everybody else standing up. If he says something, reinstating the members of the military who were thrown out because of the vaccine mandate. That was a big one for me. Another one is stop fighting wars that aren't ours. Get back to focusing on America. And I think he's already starting to deliver on that in the Middle East. With negotiating, he's got somebody over there who's negotiating the day before he was sworn in the release of some of the hostages in Gaza, but I think more importantly, an end to that war. And so I think that's the other promise. I remember a phone call I had with Trump when he was president, number 45, and we had this controversial vote on Iran. He wasn't really in agreement with the way I was going to vote. And I respect his opinion. And basically, the issue was this: they had taken out Soleimani in Iraq, not in Iran. And the question was, could he strike mainland Iran? And the Democrats were not sincere in their effort, but they put a piece of legislation on the floor that says you can't go to war with Iran without a vote of Congress. Well, that's just patently obvious to me. But there were only 3 Republicans that voted for that. You know, all the Democrats voted for it. They were just trying to embarrass Trump.
That's in the Constitution that you can't go to war without a vote from Congress.
So the president called me. He got caught wind that I was going to be voting for that resolution, and I thanked him. You know, I tried to diffuse the situation a little bit. I just said, "Look, you're the first president since I've been old enough to vote who hasn't started a war, and I really appreciate that." And he was thankful that I acknowledged it, but I said, I just can't be with you on this vote today. I don't care if it's Obama who's president or you're president. It's Congress's role to declare war or not. And his argument to me was, if you give me more authority or don't tie my hands, I can basically carry a bigger stick and keep us out of war. And my argument back was, well, if we allow you to make a bigger, I wouldn't say bluff because it could eventually turn into something. If we allow you to make a bigger threat, but we give up in that our ability to stop it, then if they call your threat, we're in full blown war, and we've already given up our ability as Congress to say we can't be in that war. And so I ultimately I didn't have his favor that day because I did vote unfortunately, I did vote for a resolution the Democrats put on the floor, but it was one that says you can't go to war without an act of Congress.
This is like since the Patriot Act, they've been like George Bush was declaring, hey, Afghanistan.
Since World War II, I believe, was the last time
that
we
was the last
declared war.
time.
Yeah, Vietnam was just a peacekeeping action.
But
on
under
paper.
AUMF, it all got sketchy about how much power the president actually has to declare war, but there's been about 80 conflicts that have been war related that have not been voted on by Congress because the last one was one of the battles of World War II.
Yeah, and just to wrap this up, what I want to do is give President Trump praise for putting this in his inauguration speech to say we're not going to fight wars that aren't ours, and we're going to focus back on our own borders.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.